The Hydra.
In the marshes of ancient Greece, there lived a monster people swore couldn't die. They called it the Hydra. It wasn't just one head, it was 9. Each one had its own mind, its own hunger, and its own poison. Farmers near Lerna said its breath could kill plants, animals, even the air itself. When Hercules came to slay it, he brought a sword and confidence. It didn't help. Every time he cut off a head, 2 grew back. The ground filled with hissing necks and steaming blood. So he changed tactics. Hercules called for fire. His nephew brought a torch and burned each stump as it fell. Slowly, the Hydra stopped growing. He buried the last immortal head under a massive rock just to be sure. The swamp went silent. For centuries, people claimed it was gone. But stories like this never die completely. Somewhere in every version, one head still breathes.
The Tiamat. Before there was any land, there was Tiamat, a serpent the size of eternity. She wasn't just a dragon, she was chaos itself, a living ocean that gave birth to gods. At first, she ruled quietly in the dark waters, her body forming the waves and storms. But the children she created wanted more. They plotted against her, whispering that her rule was old and cruel. When she discovered the betrayal, Tiamat transformed. Her scales hardened into mountains. Her breath turned to hurricanes. From her own blood, she created an army of monsters. The god Marduk faced her in battle. The sky trembled. When Tiamat opened her jaws to swallow him whole, Marduk fired an arrow straight through her heart. Her body split apart, and he used her remains to build the world. One half became the heavens, the other the sea. Every time a storm rises over the ocean, some say it's Tiamat breathing again, trying to pull the world back into herself.
The Fafnir.
Once, Fafnir was just a man, a greedy one, the kind who wanted more gold than sunlight. He murdered his own father for treasure, a cursed hoard guarded by a ring set to bring ruin to anyone who touched it. The curse worked fast. Fafnir took gold to the mountains and sat over it like a vulture. He stayed there for so long that he stopped being human. His skin thickened into scales. His breath turned to venom. His heart grew cold as iron. The man disappeared, and a dragon took his place. People said the ground itself turned black where he slept. No one dared approach him except one man, Sigurd, the hero sent to kill him. Sigurd dug a trench beneath the path Fafnir crawled and waited. When the dragon's belly passed overhead, Sigurd drove his sword upward and split him open. As Fafnir lay dying, he laughed. He told Sigurd the gold would destroy him too. And it did.
The Quetzalcoatl.
Feathers and fangs, heaven and earth stitched into one being. Quetzalcoatl wasn't born from darkness like most dragons. He was light. The feathered serpent who soared between worlds, the bridge between gods and men. To the Aztecs and Toltecs, he was creation itself, the one who bled for humanity. They said he descended into the underworld, gathered the bones of the dead, and mixed them with his own blood to make life anew. Imagine that, a dragon god slicing open his own chest just so mortals could exist. But divinity doesn't last forever. His rival, Tezcatlipoca, tricked him into drunken shame, convincing him he'd betrayed his own purity. Racked with guilt, Quetzalcoatl burned himself alive and vanished. Yet from his ashes, the morning star rose.
Every sunrise, they say, is his return, the serpent of light reborn, slithering across the sky to remind us that even gods can fall and even dragons can rise again.
The wyvern. Not every dragon needs a kingdom. Some just need chaos. The wyvern isn't noble or godly or wise. It's the brute cousin of dragons, a creature built purely for destruction. 2 legs, 2 wings, and a hunger that never ends. Unlike the great serpents of myth, wyverns don't guard treasure or rule over storms. They are the storm, leaving weapons of flesh and rage. In medieval Europe, their image spread across banners and shields, symbols of both terror and power. Knights painted them on armor to say, "Fear me," yet in the same breath, feared the very thing they wore. They were said to carry plague in their breath, to swoop down on villages and vanish before sunrise. Some chroniclers swore wyverns were born from cursed dragon eggs, half-formed, malformed, too vicious to be tamed. But the truth of the wyvern isn't in lore, it's in instinct. Where dragons represent pride and cunning, the wyvern is something simpler. Nature's rage without reason. A reminder that not all monsters have purpose. Some just burn because they can. The Smaug. Arrogance with wings. That's Smaug. Born from fire and greed, he's less a dragon and more a force of personality. Every word he speaks drips with pride. Every movement, a slow performance meant to remind you that you're nothing in his presence. When he descended upon the lonely mountain, it wasn't war, it was art. He burned cities not because he needed to, but because he enjoyed the sight of them burning. His flames turned kingdoms into shadows, and it took years to rebuild them. Tolkien didn't write Smaug as just a monster. He wrote him as a mirror. The greed of men made flesh and fire. Every coin beneath his belly represented a broken oath, a stolen life, a price someone was willing to pay for power. And when the hero Bard's arrow found that single weak spot in his jeweled chest, Smaug didn't die as a beast. He fell as a god undone by his own vanity. Even his final roar sounded less like pain and more like disbelief that the world dare to touch him.
The Yamata no Orochi.
8 heads, 8 tails, a body so vast it sprawled across mountains, choking rivers with its coils. That was Yamata no Orochi, Japan's dragon of pure devastation. They said its eyes burned like blood. Every year it demanded a maiden as sacrifice from a terrified village. By the 8th year, only one girl remained, the daughter of a desperate god. Then came Susanoo, the storm deity cast down from heaven. He saw the terror, the endless cycle, and devised the plan. He brewed 8 barrels of sake, stronger than any mortal had ever made. The beast drank it all, 1 head for each barrel, and fell into a drunken slumber. Then Susanoo struck. He hacked through each neck, one by one, until the ground red with divine venom. But when his blade split the final head, it struck something strange, a blade buried inside the dragon's tail, the Kusanagi no Serugi, one of Japan's 3 sacred treasures. From horror came divinity, from death a weapon of kings. And even now the rivers where Orochi fell still run dark after storms, as if the dragon's blood hasn't quite dried.
The Leviathan. Before there were maps, sailors feared one name whispered between crashing waves: Leviathan. Not a dragon in the sky, but one beneath the deep, the sea's own nightmare, coiling endlessly beneath the surface, large enough to swallow continents and silent enough to make you doubt he was ever real. In ancient Hebrew texts, Leviathan wasn't the creature. He was chaos itself, God's unfinished creation, restrained only by divine force. It's sad that when he thrashes, tsunamis rise. When he exhales, whirlpools open. And when he dreams, whole ships vanish into the void. To the prophets, he was destined for one thing, the end. When the final day comes, Leviathan will rise from the abyss to battle Behemoth, land against sea, chaos against flesh. Their clash will shatter the oceans and bring the world full circle, back into the same darkness it was born from. No one knows what waits beneath the blue horizon, but when the water turns quiet, too quiet, that's when sailors still whisper, "He's awake."
The Shenron.
When thunder rolls across the mountains of China, they say it's Shenron waking, a celestial dragon woven from wind and lightning, long, coiling, and radiant. His scales shimmer like emerald glass under stormlight. Unlike the Western beasts so greed and lame, Shenron is divine order itself, a god who listens, but only to those who ask with purity. He is the wish granter, the bridge between heaven and mortal dreams. Legends say he can twist the flow of destiny, bend time, or raise the dead, but never without balance. Every wish carries a shadow, every miracle a cost. In his earliest tales, Shenlong, the divine dragon, was tied to rainfall and fertility, his arrival bringing life to the field. But over centuries, he became something greater, the symbol of cosmic justice. When he descends, the sky cracks open in reverence, the air hums, lanterns flicker, and the line between prayer and power disappears. Shenron doesn't roar, he speaks in thunder. And when he does, even the gods listen.
The Ryujin. In the deepest blue of the Pacific, where sunlight never dares to touch, Ryujin reigns. He is not a monster. He is an emperor. Legends say his palace, the Ryugo-jo, rests beneath the waves, a fortress of coral and gold guarded by sea serpents and spirits of drowned sailors. He commands the tides with a jewel held in his claws, the tide jewels, one to summon storms, one to calm them. When he exhales, typhoons are born. When he blinks, the ocean stills. But Ryujin's story isn't all wrath and splendor. He once trusted a human fisherman named Urashima Taro, inviting him beneath the sea for what felt like days. When Taro returned to the surface, centuries had passed. Time flows differently in the Dragon King's realm, a reminder that the ocean is both gift and curse, eternity and oblivion. To this day, fishermen still toss offerings into the sea, not out of worship, but out of fear. Ryujin's eyes are always watching from below. The Draco.
Every night, if you look north, you'll see him, frozen mid-fight across the stars. Draco, the celestial dragon, wrapped around the pole of the heavens, guarding the axis of the world itself. In ancient Greece, they said he once guarded the golden apples of the Hesperides, treasures of the gods. But when Hercules came, Draco fell. The gods, in pity or pride, cast his body into the sky, twisting it into a serpent of stars that would never sleep. But Draco isn't just a constellation. He's a reminder, a fossil of defiance. Even in death, he circles the heavens, his body never setting, never resting. The ancients looked up and saw him as a symbol of eternal vigilance, a creature that fought gods and still refused to fade. Some astronomers say the North Star once burned within his coils, meaning once, long ago, the whole sky spun around a dragon. Maybe it still does. The Nidhogg. Beneath the roots of the world tree, something writhes. Something old, hungry, and hateful. That's Nidhogg, the dragon that chews at the roots of Yggdrasil itself, trying to pull all of existence into the dark. He doesn't roar or fly or breathe fire. He gnaws, patiently, eternally. His fangs sink into the veins of creation, and his venom seeps through every branch of the cosmos. The gods above pretend they don't hear it, but the sound of Nidhogg's chewing never stops. Up in the branches, an eagle rocks him. Between them, a squirrel named Ratatoskar scurries up and down the tree, carrying insult from one to the other. A cosmic feud played out across eternity. But while they trade words, Nidhogg's teeth keep working, and one day they say he will break through. When Ragnarok comes, when the world burns and the sky splits, Nidhogg will finally rise from the shadows, wings dripping with rot, carrying the corpses of the damned in his claws. The end won't come with fire, it'll come with the sound of chewing.